Welcome everyone. I'm delighted to be here. I think this is an incredibly important venture. The more we network, the more we support one another, there's no end to what we can do. So all success to TurkishWIN. Now let me see where the button is. Okay, so the art of the start. I'm here to tell you a little bit about how Sabancı University was started, because I think there are very interesting lessons here, not only for how to start a university, but perhaps how one could go about starting their own businesses. But before I get to the university, let me tell you a little bit about the art of the restart. And that is how I ended up coming back to Turkey after 29 years in the United States. I'm California born. The accent is not because I'm a child prodigy or anything. It was my first language. I lived most of my life in the US. And in that way, I'm probably similar to many of the people here in WIN. Educated in Turkey for very crucial years, high school and university, Üsküdar and Boğaziçi. I have my classmates here, Canan and Jale. And I have truly a bicultural identity. I have two countries that I love and that have made me who I am. I came back to Turkey in 2003 to become dean at this school, and really to join in the making of a dream, and that is to create a world-class university here. First, a little bit of context, especially to the people who might be watching this from outside of Turkey. This is an extraordinarily young country. 60% of the population is below the age of 30. There's a huge demand for university seats. There's not enough capacity, and the government, realizing this in the mid-1980s, opened up that space and began to allow for foundations to set up nonprofit universities. Sabancı University was one of the first ones established. Okay, so the title of the series is The Art of the Start. How do we define the start? Was it 1999 when we started classes? Or was it 1997 when we first broke ground to build our campus? I'm going to argue that one of the reasons why Sabancı University became one of the most successful foundation universities today in Turkey is that because we took a long time to start. Now, there might be differences in an entrepreneurial venture if you've got a hot new technology. My husband Zia, who's an entrepreneur and advises entrepreneurs, might say, rush. You need to take it, you need to be much quicker. But for universities, I will argue that it's very important to take your time. I'm actually saddened by the large number of universities that have been established in the last few years that have not taken advantage of the fact that you're building a school from scratch. I was very fortunate to be invited in 1995, this is when I was still back in California, to a search conference. This was an event held, 52 people were invited from around the world, where we got to spend 3 days thinking about what the 21st century was going to be like, and given those realities, what a new university should be like. For me, I define it as a peak professional experience. If you were to ask me the 3 happiest professional days of my life, I would say it was those 3 days. My happiest personal days were the birth of my daughters. We have to put priorities first here, right? So what did we do? At that search conference, 3 days, thinking about how the world is changing and debating what a new university should be like. There were a lot of debates. One really strong one I remember was whether or not the university language should be in English or Turkish. There was strong arguments that it should be in Turkish, but those of us argued for English prevailed because we wanted to be a global university. Key tenets that today still impact what Sabancı University does came out of those 3 days. Things like we wanted to be highly participative. We wanted to be student-focused. We wanted to be practice-relevant. What does that mean? We didn't want theory to be a theoretical institution that didn't care about the real world. Research would be important, but technology and disseminating that research would be important. We wanted to be interdisciplinary because if you look at the big problems facing in the world today, they're not coming in nice little boxes, finance, marketing, engineering. They're of interdisciplinary nature. And finally, most importantly, we wanted to be uniquely connected to Turkey's issues. We wanted to be highly local, but also be connected to our region as well as to the global community. So what have we created? First of all, from those very few days, we decided to be small, to be focused, not to start every single program in the world. So we have an engineering and natural science faculty, arts and social sciences, School of Management. With our desire to be interdisciplinary, we have no departments. I like to say no departments, just overworked deans. Our mission is to be research-oriented. Teaching is very important at Sabancı, but also outreach, to be involved with NGOs as well as the business community, and not to be an ivory tower. That was important. We also have continually worked on talking about what our values are, what we believe in. One of our very first and most important values was total freedom for our students. And again, for those of you outside of Turkey, you won't get this, but just a small statement. Because of the large number of students who need to be placed every year in universities, we have this huge exam, right? Students have to decide in high school if they're going to go the science track or the social sciences track. And there's very little movement. Students have very little opportunity to transfer if all of a sudden they decide they don't want to be an engineer. We made a pledge, and we were very fortunate at that time that at YÖK, at the Higher Education Council, there was a gentleman who allowed us to do this. A few years ago, YÖK tried to pull this back, but we very quietly, very resolutely pushed back, and we persevered. And so we still provide this to our students. It's very, very important. We also are, I think, one of the first, if not the only, and I didn't check everyone's web pages, so I don't know this for a fact, but you can actually go to our web page where it says our philosophy, and we have public statements on academic freedom, for academic integrity, so honesty by our students and our faculty. We have a whole policy around how research should be conducted, a non-discrimination statement, and a sexual harassment policy statement. These are public, these are open, faculty and staff know where to go if they have any problems, and it means that we as an institution have made a promise to uphold these values. Being focused on Turkey's needs also meant that we wanted to be a part in strengthening democracy in this country. We're coming up to an election less than a week away, and one of the things that we did was the first year, all of our students are required to do a civic involvement project. It's 40 hours in groups, any subject they want, from women's issues, children, the environment. What does this do? This gives them the feeling that if they participate, they can make a difference. And let me tell you, beyond the 40 hours when they fulfilled their requirement, fully 30% of them go on volunteering, so it's working. This isn't complicated, I'm not going to explain all of this, but this is another example of where design and planning helped. We early on said, what's going on in Turkish universities around the whole research function, which is one of the first and most important things a university should do. And we said, there are two problems that we want to solve with how we do research. One, we want our faculty to be able to get grants and be very successful. So let's set up a foundation office that can help them get grants. We also felt there was a huge problem on the intellectual property side, commercialization of what faculty members are doing. So we set up a company called Innovent. Let me tell you, as a result of Innovent, many of our faculty members, as well as faculty at other universities, are establishing companies. Those are going to turn into jobs, as well as money, as well as new technologies in Turkey. Hugely important. On the grant side, because we set up this administrative office to help our faculty, per capita, we have the largest number of grants from TÜBİTAK and the European Union. This was, see a problem, structure a solution to meet it. It's something I'm very proud of. So, how do you define success? For us, it's how our students are doing. If you look at our undergraduates, the year of the crisis even, 88% of them are employed. If you look at my MBAs and my Masters of Finance students, within 3 months, 95% of them are employed. This in a country where youth unemployment is very high. And so, they're happy with their diplomas. As a result, surprise, surprise, they're happy to be Sabancı University graduates. Okay, one family pick, but there's a story behind this. So I come back in 2003, I'm working like crazy. So the first, they said, okay, she's a new dean, she doesn't know how to work in Turkey, we understand. Second year, third year, fourth year, I'm still working, and then finally, especially the elders in the family started saying, how long does this take to establish a university? The answer is, it takes a long time. Not to establish it, it takes a long time because every year we continue setting new goals for ourselves. So for example, we're just about to open a new nanotechnology and research and application center, science and outreach, theory and practice. It's a beautiful building. I hope you'll come and visit. We have we have many women working on women's issues, have been from the very establishment of the university. This year we started a gender and women's studies program, platform, where we're sharing the things that we're doing together. On the business school side, we always say, let's do world-class stuff. So a few years ago when we decided to start a Master's in Finance program, we did some research and we found that in the United States that finance programs had a trading room where students could learn Bloomberg and Matrix and all that hands-on. Well, it was going to cost a lot of money. And the president said, Nakiye, you can have it if you find the money. I found the money. So my students have a world-class trading room. Two goals that we achieved this year that made me extraordinarily happy. So my close friends and family will know this. Business schools around the world vie for accreditation. AECSB accreditation is global, but it's based in the US. Only 5% of 13,000 schools of business around the world have this. We just went through our audit. It took 5 years. Dossiers like this, where they come and they look at your curriculum, what the faculty are doing. They talk with students and faculty. We got it. It's going to be official in July. Why am I talking about this? I mean, you know, it sounds like, God, she's just, you know, it's just commercial for her school. It's not. What it is if you have a vision, if you have something that you want to achieve, and if you work hard enough to achieve it, you will. International recognition. Today, in terms of business schools, networks, working together. The only way for me to train future MBAs, future executives, is by collaborating with colleagues around the world. About 2 years ago, we heard that MIT Sloan, who has programs, partners, in China, Russia, India, all the hot emerging markets, was looking first for a partner, which country to come to. They chose Turkey, wise choice. And then they said, which school should we work with in Turkey? Lots of deliberations, visits back and forth, and they liked our vision of wanting to be a global institution, and we signed an agreement in January. What does this mean? MIT faculty are going to come teach in my school. My faculty are going to go visit Sloan. I'm taking my entire executive MBA class to Cambridge in April. If you want to get an executive MBA, you should come talk with me. Well, this is something. This is, again, for me, it was a dream, and we made it become a reality. So, my final refrain, if you will, the end of the story. For me personally, I was 49 when Tosun Bey and Güler Hanım made the offer for me to become dean. We had decided we were going to live the rest of our lives in the United States. But my husband and I sat down, and we had always wanted to make a contribution to Turkey, and we missed our family and friends. We came back. For me, it's an example of perfect person-organization fit. My own personal values and the values of what we're trying to do at Sabancı fit very well. For me, I always describe this as a labor of love. I love what I do. And I have to tell you that I think great companies and great universities are built by people of passion who believe in their creation. It's all about passion. It's all about loving what you do. I hope for all of you, and I get the sense from this room that there's a lot of passion about what you're doing, but my hope for all of you is that you will love your work and that it will be good to you. And like Sakıp Sabancı, he was a man of great passion and great love, and I'm very happy to be affiliated with my school, and I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you.